Haven't really been feeling motivated this week. I should have been filming throughout the whole week, and this particular episode for this week should have been out a couple of days ago, but just nothing to say. Haven't really been feeling it. There's a strange level of stillness for this week, and I don't like to force things, to be honest with you. I like for things to tend to come naturally, but I've just kept thinking about why don't I feel motivated? What's the root cause? Am I burnt out? Am I doing too much? Am I trying to add too much on my plate? There's a lot going on at the moment. In the process of trying to buy a house. My daughters are going through her GCSEs. Just managing fatherhood, marriage, work. At work, there's a lot of young people who need a lot of attention, because I guess most of them are in a transitional period of trying to figure out what happens next after college. Some are going to university, some have no idea what they're going to do. And then those who are preparing for their second year in college. A lot of marking, a lot of assessing, exam periods. So there's a lot on the plate while still trying to maintain that level of creativity, which often is a fuel for me, to be honest. When everything else feels depressing or feels like it's too much, then that's the one thing that I feel like I can always lean on. But this week it's felt like added pressure in a way, to the point where I haven't done anything. Started to go outside for lunch today, away from the students, away from the colleagues. Just come to the canal, just a peace of mind, just to be able to reflect on what's the root cause of this mini slump for this week. And the truth is, I think there's a level of frustration, because once the ambition is high and you've set the standard and the bar very high, the kind of person that I am, I'm just in that mode of doing whatever it takes to reach that goal. So what's the goal right now? To make Stolen Dreams legacy. This is why you're following this journey, script to screen. This is why we're here. And part of that is using what we've done before in order to get to what we want to do next. And ultimately, I think that level of frustration has come down to the fact that the private screenings, the strategy of getting organizations, schools, prisons, colleges, universities to bring us in to show the films to their young people, to their staff, hasn't materialized the way I wanted it to. The idea is simple: private screenings that can be attached to workshops, discussions that will have real impact to people. So we've done what we needed to do by having 10 screenings that we have done, which invites different people from different walks of life, different professions to come and see the film, build an audience, generate funds through that, but that's limited within itself because you're paying the venues, and some of the ticket sales will now go towards those initial costs and the marketing costs, and so what's left of that will now be attributed towards Stolen Dreams legacy. We've had some good interactions, the rooms have been packed, as you all know, different cities, genuine conversations afterwards, but things haven't moved the way I wanted them to. Outside of all of those conversations, things seem to have stalled a little bit. The follow-ups, the contacts and individuals who see the film and have genuine interest, but things stall for one reason or the other. And I understand everybody's busy, and often there's levels of decision making that needs to be had before a final decision of bringing you into a space. The bottom line is people showed real interest, and then there's a level of silence. The best way for me to summarize this is the interest is real, but the movement isn't. I think part of my frustration is the fact that the academic year is coming to a close. As I'm slowly winding things down with my own students at college, we're in May now, and not long left to go. So I guess this whole year, 2026, was supposed to be being in different schools, different colleges, universities. It was supposed to be happening as fast as that, but it hasn't really taken off like that. And I guess coming towards the end of the year just made me realize that, okay, that particular part of the plan in regards to being able to raise some funds from that angle, and also be able to have those conversations and impact with all of these young people in these organizations, hasn't materialized. So that's, I think, part of the frustration, because it's not happening the way I wanted it to, but sometimes plans don't always work that way. So I guess being in this state right now is temporary, because I need to figure out other ways to be able to more imminently raise the funds as well, because like the film's not going anywhere really and truly. This frustration is a level of frustration because of the deadline and the goal that I've put on myself, essentially. So timelines can be moved, things can be moved, but you know how it is when you're planning something, you always want to make sure it goes the way you wanted it to go in the first place. So right now in education, obviously, it's like they're planning for budgets for the following year. Things are winding down, priorities are changing, essentially. When I look at other organizations outside of the schools, my prison contact has gone cold. The last contact was in January. A few follow-ups, no response around that. So there's a level of frustrations around what seemed promising at one stage is not anymore, and that's just the reality of things at the moment. I guess I felt like this in other projects, especially when I was writing books independently. You do the hard work of getting an audience to read the book, or in this case to watch the film, and once it exists to those individuals and you get feedback from them, and okay, there's a level of quality that has now been associated with the work, people like it, people are reviewing it, people are sharing it, it tends to feel like there's a ceiling within that, especially in this independent space where it's like your reach feels limited to a certain extent. And so it's just trying to figure out, how do you break through from that? How do you push beyond that level? How do you make sure that there are more people who are exposed to the work? Because you have a sample size of people who've seen it, who've said good things about it. So using that as confidence to move forward. It's like, okay, cool. If we now get a bigger sample of people, then surely that will continue to multiply itself. But it's just that having the right strategy and the right engine to be able to do that, that's always been, I guess, a sticking point for me. Some would look at what I've already done and achieved and would say, okay, that's a level of success. And then I agree, because I'm one for celebrating every milestone. I don't overlook anything. I'm very grateful for every single person that turns up to every single event, every single person that buys a ticket, every single person that buys a book. It means something, because there's levels of success, right? Getting to the point of completing something, just finishing a script, finishing a manuscript, getting it published, getting it made. Right, those are all levels of success, and then it just becomes, okay, how high do you want to continue to raise the bar? And that's all this is. And so now we've reached a certain level, and all we want to do is just to continue to raise that bar. And there are going to be setbacks, and this is part of that setback. As you can see, the lovely clouds that have just appeared out of nowhere. So I'm going to wrap this up before I head back into the college. But yeah, ultimately it's just sharing my thoughts of lack of movement this particular week, overcoming and processing the frustrations. I don't know if I feel like I'm stuck between momentum and stagnation, and I don't know if I'm repeating a cycle. And maybe that cycle needs to be broken through new thinking, maybe bringing other people into the fold who can bring a level of experience that I don't have. Because even with this word independent, you need a team, you need to learn from others. I guess the independence comes from just having control of the actions that you're taking. So yeah, there's no solutions this week. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm just in a reflection mode, and hopefully next week things will be different. There'll be a lot more movement in regards to how we are going to fund this film. So stay tuned, and I'll see you next week.